Have you ever watched a singer walk onto a talent show stage and immediately realized but something was different? When Angelina Jordan stepped onto America's Got Talent stage, she was only 13 years old. But the strange part wasn't her age, it was the fact that she already sounded like someone who had lived an entire lifetime through music. And when she chose one of the most difficult songs imaginable, nobody in that room could have predicted what would happen next. Within minutes, Angelina turned a familiar Queen classic into something completely her own, and earned a golden buzzer that sent her straight through the competition. But that moment makes much more sense when you discover what Angelina had already accomplished long before America met her. Angelina wasn't a completely unknown teenager hoping for her first big break. Years earlier, she had already attracted international attention after appearing on Norway's Got Talent. She was just a child, yet her performances showed something unusual. Instead of trying to imitate the young singers around her, Angelina leaned into an old-school jazz and soul style. Her voice was soft, controlled, and strangely mature for someone so young. One of the performances that helped introduce her to a global audience was her rendition of Fly Me to the Moon. The video spread online, and suddenly people around the world were asking the same question: how could a child sound like this?
That early attention created an unusual situation. Angelina had already become a viral sensation before she was old enough to understand what global fame really meant. But the internet was only the beginning. What made Angelina even more interesting was that she didn't seem interested in chasing the sound that was popular among young singers. She was drawn toward classic artists, jazz standards, blues, and timeless melodies. That choice became part of her identity. While many young performers tried to prove how powerful their voices are by singing louder and higher, Angelina often did the opposite. She understood something that many experienced singers take years to learn. Sometimes restraint is more powerful than volume. Her performances depended on phrasing, timing, emotion, and the ability to make an old song feel personal. That became especially important when she arrived on the international stage again, because this time, she wasn't simply performing for a local audience. She was stepping into America's Got Talent, the Champions, a competition filled with performers who had already made names for themselves around the world. And Angelina had one major challenge. She had to prove that her reputation wasn't just the result of being a gifted child. Then came the song choice that changed everything. Angelina walked onto the stage and announced that she was going to sing Bohemian Rhapsody. That alone was a bold decision.
Queen's masterpiece is one of the most recognizable songs in modern music, and Freddie Mercury's original performance is almost impossible to escape. Most singers attempting it would probably try to reproduce the explosive energy of the original. Angelina took a completely different route. She slowed the emotion down. She reshaped the melody. She brought the song into her own musical world. Instead of trying to become Freddie Mercury, she made the audience listen to Angelina Jordan. And that distinction mattered. The performance didn't feel like a child attempting an adult song. It felt like a young artist interpreting a classic in a way that only she could. By the time she reached the heart of the performance, the room had already changed, but Angelina still had one more moment waiting for her. The golden buzzer was more than just a button being pushed. Heidi Klum chose to give Angelina the golden buzzer, sending her directly forward in the competition. For a 13-year-old performer, it was an enormous moment. But there was something particularly interesting about the reaction. Angelina hadn't won the audience over by performing a complicated stunt or relying on spectacle. There were no massive production tricks needed to make the performance memorable. Her weapon was her voice. The golden buzzer essentially confirmed what millions of viewers had already suspected from her earlier performances. Angelina possessed a musical identity that was far beyond her years.
Yet, there was another reason the moment became so memorable. She had taken a song that many viewers already knew by heart and made them hear it differently. That is much harder than simply singing a difficult song. And this is where Angelina's story becomes more interesting. A golden buzzer can create enormous attention, but attention can disappear just as quickly. Talent show history is full of performers who had one incredible audition, became viral for a few weeks, and then faded from public attention. Angelina's challenge was different. She had to prove that she was more than a remarkable 13-year-old. She needed to grow without losing the qualities that made people notice her in the first place. That meant developing her voice, refining her songwriting, and building a musical identity that could survive after the talent show spotlight disappeared. In other words, the real test wasn't whether Angelina could impress America for a few minutes.
It was whether she could build a career after America stopped watching. That transition is one of the most important parts of Angelina's journey. As she grew older, she continued developing her own music and expanding beyond the image of the mysterious child singer. That matters because being labeled a child prodigy can become a trap. The audience remembers the young version of you and expects you to remain exactly the same. But artists cannot stay frozen in time.
Angelina had to grow, experiment, and find out who she wanted to become. Her earlier performances had introduced audiences to an extraordinary young voice. Her later work began showing something different, an artist becoming more comfortable with her own creative direction. And that evolution is arguably more important than the golden buzzer itself. The fascinating thing about Angelina Jordan's story is that the golden buzzer was never really the destination. It was a snapshot of a much bigger journey. The 13-year-old who stood on the AGT stage had already spent years developing a distinctive sound, studying classic music, performing for audiences, and building an international following. The golden buzzer simply gave millions more people a reason to pay attention. What happened afterward depended on Angelina herself. Could she escape the expectations created by her childhood success? Could she continue growing while keeping the emotional quality that made her performances special? Those questions are much more interesting than simply asking whether she could sing. And perhaps that is why Angelina's audition continues to stand out. Talent shows are designed around surprise. A performer walks onto the stage, the audience forms an opinion, and then the performance changes everything. Angelina did something slightly different. She arrived with a reputation, but she still managed to surprise people. She wasn't simply another young singer with a big voice. She had already developed a style that felt unusually timeless. Her golden buzzer moment worked because it wasn't really about proving that she could sing. It was about discovering how she could make an iconic song feel new. So when people look back at Angelina Jordan's amazing golden buzzer, it is easy to focus only on the moment Heidi Klum pressed that button. But the button was only the visible part of the story. Behind those few seconds were years of performances, viral videos, musical influences, and a young artist who had already begun building her identity before America ever learned her name. Angelina didn't become interesting because she received a golden buzzer. She received a golden buzzer because she had already become interesting. And that difference changes the entire story. The real question isn't how a 13-year-old earned one unforgettable moment on AGT. It's how far an artist like Angelina Jordan can go after the moment everyone else remembers is already over.